Good morning, good morning. My name is Red Moon Eagle, and you are watching Daily Devotions with Red Moon Eagle, and occasionally Astra, my cat, will join us, my animal companion, Astra. We are in the tide of completion, the summer solstice to the fall equinox, and it is June 27th. It's a Thursday, and I have a very busy day ahead of me, so I wanted to hop on and do a daily devotion today. I actually have had a little bit of change in my schedule for the next week, so I should be able to pop on earlier, which is exciting for those of you who are East Coast, who get up really early and sometimes don't get to watch daily devotions till the evening. So, the first card that I pulled today that is kind of, I'm dropping things, which is going to drive the bus today. Realization. On the card it says, the frequency of realization supports the internal process of becoming aware of our heart-centered truth, as well as the external process of becoming our highest expression in this world. Realization happens on many different levels. Internally, we realize something when we become aware of that something as a fact. Externally, we realize something when we achieve or fulfill a dream or a desire. On a spiritual level, we refer to self-realization when we are able to unite body, mind, spirit, and soul to step into our fullest, most authentic expression of who we really are. The center of this activation draws us into infinite inward journey through the layers of our awareness. The green indicates the presence of the heart, which provides the wisdom and stability needed on this frequent, trippy path. The rich, bright blue coloring of the outer circles represent the ability and desire to express ourselves and to be realized in the outer world. The water represents the emotional realm, the heart's guidance system. The orange and yellow stand for expression, creativity, and self-awareness. Isn't that pretty? It's such a beautiful card. Realization. I think one of the big things to look at here is internally we become, when we realize we become something as fact, externally we realize when we achieve or fulfill a dream or a desire. It's really interesting. They wrote that, you can really tell that this is a 1-5 card. There are quite a few cards in this particular deck that as soon as I read them, I go, oh, that's in the 1-5 paradigm of the transformation. It just totally is. So, the infinite inward journey through the layers of our awareness. Frequency of realization supports the internal process of becoming aware of our heart-centered truth, as well as the external process of becoming our highest expression in this world. Beautiful. Okay, so that's that card. Okay, this is from the Masule, Arthur, Champion of Avalon, Companionship, Nobility, and Self-Realization. So just to remind you, the Masule deck is a vision of the world beyond, a place our souls may travel to after death. It is a place that is knit together from many of the stories that exist in our corners of the ancient world. Full of heroes and gods, myths and legends, it is the true essence of these personalities and stories they inhabit that is intended to lend insight and reveal hidden truths in our own lives as we travel. The spirit world of Masule is comprised of countless realms. This deck includes 6 of the great kingdoms, each reflection of our world. And from each of these is selected 6 inhabitants who best represent certain qualities and ideals. It is the power of these personality traits that illuminate the path before you. So this card is Arthur, and Arthur is the champion of Avalon. The memory of an ancient godly king, Arthur seeks to restore himself to himself. that he might pit himself against evil and aid all those who are lost and do not know themselves. He accomplishes this by testing himself against his enemies, and only in his darkest hour does he relearn his true self. He does not fight alone, but fits himself with his famed and ancient weapons, and surrounds himself with knights who match him for valor, nobility, honor, and faith. Arthur instructs us to seek our better natures, to remind us that even in the greatest warriors do not battle evil alone. The domains of champion, nobility, and self-realization. Okay, so we'll get back to Arthur. I love that. I really love that this card talks about not fighting the battle alone, and that he tests himself, and only in his darkest hour does he relearn his true self. And this card represents the 2-6 in the paradigm. Again, like every time I read these cards, the way universe brought them to me, they just completely follow in the transformational flow. Okay, so Della Nuit Oracle. And for some reason, this always sticks funny. Okay. I think I got them backwards. Well, that's the way I drew them today, so that's what we're going to read. 12, Hansel and Gretel. Our story. When the famine settled over the kingdom, our parents decided to leave us in the woods. After wandering the forest for a long time, we finally came upon a very peculiar house, made of gingerbread. There lived a witch who trapped us and fed us so we might get fat to become a good meal for her. One day, we managed to throw her in her oven, and we put our hands on her treasures that we brought home. Our message: cleverness and solidarity are required. You have to be smart and cunning, for you're in the middle of a tricky situation. But you also have to rely on others, for you'll need all the support you can get. Union is the key. 4 heads are better than 2, 2 brains are better than 1. Being not alone can be your strength in this manner. So go find your right partner and together throw the ugly witches away. I had those backwards. So Arthur is 3-7 and Hansel and Gretel is 2-6. I knew there was something wrong with what I was saying. Okay. But I just love the transformational flow. We're going to go over it here in a minute. Okay, 4-8 is Lantern. And the card that got drawn today is Repair. Making amends rather than fun times reveal a relationship's true constitution. And this is in the crone. I love this because you can see they're knitting a quilt. Isn't that beautiful? The integrity and strength of a relationship lie in both how both parties show up for repair, and not how they play, nor how their conflict style or frequency. Although challenges that arise in our relationships can be difficult, painful, they are also how we grow, learn, and explore who we are both individually and together. Repair is where we get real with those who we are in a reciprocally valued and respectful relationship. It is where we are seen as we are without the mask of composure and impression management. A true relationship with another, we realize that it is okay to make mistakes, have flaws, and fail to live up to our best possible selves. When the relationship is genuine, we are sincerely doing our best, and our intentions are pure, and all is repairable. Together, it is possible for all involved parties to heal from the wound, strengthen the bond, and advance. Mutual love, desire, integrity, and the willingness to do whatever repair takes are the ingredients for this beautiful unfolding. Astra, come here. However, it is also of equal importance to acknowledge that there are indeed some things that can happen or are said and done in a relationship that are irreversibly cross the line for one or all parties. When a person is self-loving, unwilling, or unable to come back from the line of theirs being crossed, true repair is not an option. In such instances, the healthiest approach is to acknowledge that the relationship is over and part ways. Although the ending of a relationship can be excruciating, it is optimal to dodge what could involve further damage. If one's line in the sand has been violated once, it suggests that the relationship is unsafe for this person and best released as a necessary lesson that has run its course. In this way, each individual can independently repair themselves and eventually move on to relationships with others that are reciprocally healthy and respectfully fit. Once the relationship with ourselves works in a way that is good, self-respecting, accepting, and loving, it is possible for our external relationships to work this way too. The featured crone encourages you to welcome the truth in whatever conflict, resentment, or hurt that arises in what is at heart a real, good, and genuine relationship as the opportunity to grow. With good and safe people, it benefits them and us to embrace the challenges, differences, and disagreements that inevitably surface throughout the long haul. Conflicts only seem to threaten the connections we share with the loved ones. It is especially so when we let them fester without discussing an issue and do not equally commit to mending whatever stitches have come undone. Instead of disagreements temporarily separating us from our loved ones, any damaged relationship suffers as an opportunity to increase intimate connection. This can be done if and only if both parties are equally invested in the relationship and what to do work on the repair. Before starting to repair a rupture in a relationship, it can be beneficial to take some time to calm down and get perspective. Time apart gives us the space to learn how much we truly love and value the other person. It also gives us time and capacity to consider the issue from their point of view and see if how we indeed could have responded with a more thoughtful, graceful, and effective manner. The realization, like the repair, is both the gift and the growth as we mature and increase in authenticity in one another. When bringing conflict to the table, if both parties can respectfully, safely, patiently meet each other halfway, with genuine willingness to work it out, they are blessed with a sacred relationship. The crone's message: authentic relationships are made of what it takes for shared repair and growth. Oh, that's so deep. I love it. Absolutely love it. Okay. So, are you going to join me? Are you? You can. Would you like? Do you want just pets? You do not want to join, you just want pets? Is that what you want? Are you still deciding? You can decide. You don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to. Yeah? You deciding? How are the birds? It's all for the birds, huh? Okay, sorry for that momentary pause. Astra wanted to have a conversation. Sacred Geometry, number 37, realization. So, realization is the frequency supporting the internal process of becoming aware of our heart-centered truth, as well as the external process of becoming our highest expression in the world. So, our internal truth and our external higher truth, right? And then we have Hansel and Gretel. And this one I skipped over really quickly. But the 2-6 of Hansel and Gretel is about connection. It's about connection and moving forward. And the message here is cleverness and solidarity are required. Being not alone right now is your strength. Find your group of people. Find someone to hang out with. Find someone to do this together with. The realization that you not only have this internal process, but you have the external process of becoming your highest expression, and that requires you to work with people. That requires you to have community. It requires you to have connection. In the 1-5 process, you have the creativity of the idea. You have the starting point. You have the gathering of knowledge, the information. So we've gathered all the knowledge of the whole read. And then 2 is the connection with someone, realizing that, oh, this is about connection. This is about connecting to someone else towards something. And 6 is movement. And this card tells us that the movement, sorry, Astra, I dropped my book. I'm having trouble with this book. I keep dropping it. Is you have to be smart and cunning, for you're in the middle of a tricky situation. The movement is you need help. Unity is the key. 4 hands are better than 2. 2 brains are better than 1. Being not alone is the strength in this movement forward. So moving together is how you move. So 6s love to keep moving. It's a beautiful thing with that number. They love movement. But what happens when they move without connection is they hop around. They're like the eternal grasshopper. They're the eternal Energizer bunny that just has nowhere to go. So you have to have connection. And these 2 cards, realization that you are working on your internal, but you need the community to do so. You need the information, you need the connection, and to move forward, you have to do it with somebody. If whatever it is that you're moving towards right now, you're doing it alone, right now is the time to work with somebody. And then our third card, Arthur, is 3-7. 3-7, championship, nobility, self-realization. As soon as I drew this card, a natural number 3 that I know, his name is Lion, kind of came to mind, and then I skipped over it, but now I'm going to go back to that realization. And that is, in Arthur, it says that he accomplishes best by testing himself against his enemies. Only in his darkest hour does he relearn his true self. 3s do a lot of things alone. But this is the thing. They don't do it well usually alone. They do better when they do things with other people. And they need that. They need that connection. They have this amazing ability to hone in and focus on the things that need to be worked on. And they do it best, ironically, when they're with someone. Now, they need a lot of focus, and sometimes you got to just shut your trap and let them do the thing. But they do really well with it if you give them the chance, if you give them the space to have honed in on the thing that needs to move forward. So if we're looking at realization, working on your inner self, you need somebody to help you with that. You're gathering community, you're gathering connection, you're getting some momentum. Now you reconnect on the details. And the details here are the darkest thing that you think is in your way is actually going to reveal you your true self, the dark thing that you're actually working on. And you surround yourself with people who have valor, nobility, honor, faith, and that energy of championship. Sometimes we just need somebody to stand up with us and advocate for us. One of the things that I learned with my neurodiversity, which I wish I'd had years ago, is if I need to go and have a conversation with an employer and I need an advocate with me, I can ask for that. And there are lots of different kinds of advocates in the world. I do independent contract work where I advocate for people. And I'm working on getting licensure to be able to do that in a totally new realm. The greatest warriors do not battle the darkness alone. There are things that we work on individually, okay? When I talk about doing your work, you're working on your stuff, right? But the internal stuff sometimes emerges into the outside world. And that's when you need your community. That's when you need your friends. That's when you need good relationships. That's when you need support. And that leads us to the 4-8 card, which was repair, okay? And repair, making amends rather than fun times, reveals the relationship's true constitution. All relationships go through tumultuous times, okay? And one of the things that you have a good relationship with someone or a community is when shit goes sideways. Just does. And when shit goes sideways, who are the people who pull together? Where are the relationships where people pull together as a community authentically and with integrity and say, no, we need to head in this direction. Now, sometimes when that community pulls together and you are going towards a purpose, after that pulling together part, where everybody pulls together and they're all toeing the line for this very difficult, tumultuous thing, battling a misdirection or holding the integrity of a group together, that can strain the resources, because then everybody's expected to pitch in a little bit. So what usually happens after that is a little bit of a falling apart, where it'll seem like things have fallen apart a little bit. People have gone to their separate directions. And a lot of times you're having your 2s and your 7s and your 4s. They all kind of step back a little bit and they're like, whew, I need to rest a little bit. I need to recuperate after that big battle, that champion for whatever it is to overcome as a group. But give them a little time to heal, give them a little time to rest, and they will have repaired. Now, the other thing that happens is, when you don't have a healthy community, when the search for repair, the search for equitable repair in a community and between two people, one of the two people or one person in a group of 10 decides, no, I'm angry at all of you, you're all picking on me. And I don't mean like, and yes, the person that's trying to be held accountable might feel that they're being picked on. I'm not saying that's not a true feeling. But what I'm saying is, if a group is equitable, if a group has come together and they are using all the resources of all of what we know about how to hold people accountable, but you do it in love, you do it directly, you don't beat around the bush, you don't allow them to wiggle away, but you do it in as kind and compassionate way as possible. If that person runs away, they've run away. You can't do anything about that. If they're going to blame you for it, they're blaming you for it. You can't do anything about that. So the community, the repair then means the community has to step back and the community has to say, what do we carry forward with, and how do we do our inner work to move forward? So when you're looking at realization, the realization of your inner process versus the heart-centered truth where you need support, you start looking at, where's your community, where's your support, where are the movements, what needs to be moved to make sure that you stay to that heart-centered truth, and then who are your champions, who are the people that pull together to make sure you stick to that heart-centered truth, and where is the repair? That heart-centered truth means that the champion and everybody involved needs to understand that you have to have an authentic grounding to be able to repair. And this can be very simple in a one-on-one situation. So I'll use a really simple example. So say that, excuse the train in the background, say that you realize that you're struggling with your boss, okay? You're having a really hard time with your boss. And you've gone to your supervisor, you've gone to HR, you've asked for help. You're not really getting anywhere, but you know that to continue working there, you really need to have some additional movement forward. You need to have realization with heart-centered support, because you can't stay there if you don't feel like you're getting that heart trigger, that something's off here. I can't continue working here if I don't have the things I need. So you reach out. You get an advocate, you get connection, you get support, you get maybe somebody who's a counselor to help you talk your way through how you should approach it. You maybe seek an advocate that will help you talk to HR, or maybe you hire an outside HR representative. There are people who do that. They are professional HR people that advocate for individuals and groups, unions or small groups working in a work environment, and they say, we're going to advocate for you. We're going to go in with you to your HR appointments, talk to your boss. We're going to try to move forward with this, but we need to make sure we have information. So you're gathering your information, maybe you get an advocate, And then your advocate focuses in on the undercurrent of what's really going on. So maybe what's going on is that maybe there's a process that you're seeing that needs to change, or maybe you have a bullying situation that HR doesn't know how to handle. Maybe you're neurodiverse and your boss doesn't know how to handle somebody with neurodiversity. They want to take advantage of your skills, but they don't know how to manage or know how to navigate, how to communicate with you to get the best out of your skills. And so your helper is going to focus in on what they need to champion on, and the other layer of, which is the 7, which is it good for me? Is it good for the world? Is it the right time? Am I doing my best? Your advocate, your helper, is going to help you ask those questions so that then it's time to address the boss, the organization, whatever. And the repair card is tricky, right? Because 4 says we're going to go in and we're going to be as authentic as possible. And so you're going to address your boss, your employer, like whatever, but you have help. You're not doing it alone. Now, you're going in with the genuine idea that there is true reciprocity and authenticity in the situation. And that's a beautiful thing to do. You've got help. You really like your job. You'd like to stay there, but there's just things that aren't working. Or maybe it's not authentic to you. Maybe you thought like, okay, it's not my forever job, but I'm not going to do half-ass work, but it's not working for me. I need to repair it so that I can stay here till I find my dream job. So what happens when you have to part ways? Well, you do it the best you can. You go in with support. You never go into these situations without support. And the repair card tells us that you do it the best way you can, and you do it with community, you do it with support, you do it with your helper, and you go in with an authentic plan, you go in with all of the concerns, all the details. Your champion has helped you figure out what all those things are. Maybe your counselor's helped you with that. Maybe your advocate has helped you with that. We all need help, okay? You've written your notes down. Don't ever go into meetings like this without your notes, right? And you don't know what's in that other person's head, right? So your boss is sitting down to you with your HR person, right? Well, HR represents the company. Your HR person's not going to represent you. That's just the way it works. And you go into the situation and you realize through this card that there was a phrase here I was going to go back to. You realize that if one's line in the sand has been violated, it suggests that the relationship is unsafe. And maybe it's best released as a necessary lesson that has run its course. Each person can individually repair themselves and eventually move into relationship with others that are reciprocally healthy and respectfully fit. Sometimes you have to walk away from a job. And this job situation may be one of those where your boss is like, oh my God, I didn't realize. I do want your skills. I really want to help you. That's where the integrity and the authenticity and the integrity of going into that situation serves you and helps you hold to the line of what your needs are in that work environment. It may be that your boss, your HR person's like, well, you're demanding too much. What do you expect of me? I just want this done. I don't know how to accommodate that. If you can't accommodate to us, we're not going to work together. That's okay. That's okay. Because universe is teaching you a lesson. Universe is teaching you, guess what? To have realization of what you need versus what you're getting, and you've leaned into your community, you've leaned into help, you've learned how to connect to community in the wheel. So I go back to the wheel all the time. But community is the outside part of the wheel, okay? So you have body, mind, spirit, emotion. I'm not pointing at them right. And then the outside of the wheel is always the community, okay? The community, the outside of the wheel is community. And when we face some battles we need the entire flow of community to help us get to understanding how body, mind, spirit, and emotion integrate and come together with community. It's very busy outside today. So I think this particular set read today there's like 5 dogs out there. I have no idea where they came from. Is pretty powerful. And I think one of the things that I walk away from this transformational flow of cards is that this applies to a work environment, this applies to a community of people, this applies to relationships with your partners. My partner and I are going through some very challenging things in family stuff. And I suspect that 2024 and 2025 is going to be a lot of that. I can see it coming. And that means that this flow is so important in resolution of any of the things that are happening this year. Like, I have to hold to the heart. I have to hold to not only the internal process of knowing what's kind of coming, but also sitting with this heart-centered truth that the external things that are happening, the external opportunities for growth, help me stand in the highest representation in the world. And I had an amazing conversation with my husband about the farmer's market yesterday. And we got kind of interrupted and everything kind of went sideways because there was other stuff going on. But it was an amazing conversation that I haven't been able to have before with him because of so much of the control and so much of the dysfunction of what's been happening in the last year and a half that he's been able to see. And now that he's seen the community come together and stand up and say, here's the hard line, and let's do the repair as a community and come together, and he's seeing, because he is my champion, right? He wants to see me grow, but he also understands the value of everybody being able to grow. And he's seeing the community find its way through the repair process. And now we're able to have conversations about something that I'm very passionate about and have been for a year and a half. And this is where sometimes, even in our relationship, this particular thing has been a year and a half of just sitting in this place of realization. We kind of have connection, but we don't move forward, and we go back to realization and connection, but we don't move forward. And now, even in our relationship, we're able to go through the entire transformational flow about a topic. And so there's always this opportunity. Sometimes we do things alone. You know, I talk about it all the time on daily devotions that, you know, some of the heavy lifting work we just have to do ourselves. And you don't do everything in your life alone. There's a reason why community is part of the outside of the wheel. There's a reason for that. Body, mind, spirit, emotion. A lot of those things, you have to do some of the heaviest lifting on your own, but you never do all of it alone. Never. Even if you think you're always going to be alone, or you're not good enough to be loved, or you're not perfect, or the thing isn't perfect, or you're never going to be heard, or you never know enough, or you're never loyal enough, or you get lost in the shadows of other people's shadow, or the universe is too vast and you get frozen. You still can't do it all alone. That's what we're here to do. We're here to be together with this journey. And it's time to pull that info forward and use it. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this daily devotion helps you. The transformational flow is an amazing process, and these cards just give it to us every single day until we get through this next deck. It's a pretty amazing journey. If you're questioning, like, why am I using the cards this way and what's going on? I did post a video a couple days ago, I think it was last week, and it's kind of like the introduction to the decks, and I kind of had a realization moment in the video. And so the first daily devotion of this deck, I explain it a little bit more. So if you have questions, go back and watch those videos. I'm really terrible about linking videos, so just go back through the playlist of summer solstice to fall equinox. That's the playlist it's in. And I will see you with prayer tomorrow. or when I come back. Sometimes it'll be tomorrow, sometimes it'll be next week. I hope you all have a beautiful day, and I wish you the best. And I will see you in prayer. Blessed be.